fantastic semifinals waiting for us. Let's check out these teams.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. I mean, Golld's got the Shween in here. I would imagine Shween with an aerobic Volren would be very nice to see. Turbi's got the Pocus and the Noxolotl Kinu bands from both of them, though. Doesn't want to risk any of that shenanigans with Protector buffs, keeping your Tems alive when they shouldn't be.
Yeah, and you know what? Usually a lot of people, the Kinu used to be the auto ban back in the day. A lot of people, some people not even running Kinu these days. But yeah, Kinu, just a very impactful Temtem. It looks like definitely with a Cernive on the back line as well for Golld. Good chance. Obviously the Kinu for Pocus, that's the issue right there as well. So respecting that Kinu for this game. But Turbi starting out with a Temtem we haven't seen make too much of a splash this tournament. Maybe making one right here, right now. Turbi picking up that Yowler to get things started. And pair it up with the Kinu. So let's see who he decides. Of course, he has the counter pick. So has a bit of an edge just in that opening turn.
Yeah, I mean, getting rid of that, getting rid of but I'd say Seismunch and Valash are about as good as you can get with just ridiculous amounts of damage. I mean, maybe a Scunch instead of Valash for the P-Jabs, but that's debatable.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with you there. Seismunch does not have the P-Jab, of course, but hey, I think he's just going for maybe the double setup. It could be a bit risky, but a Heat Up Madness buff? That would be insanity.
You know, I could see it maybe, because now Grandpa Yowler, they won't be able to target both of these Tems on Golld's side right away. You know, it's gonna have to be a double in it. It could be Heat Up Madness buff and then hope for the best, maybe target Seismunch and go for an Oshi Tornado on Valash the next turn.
Yeah, of course, you know, Turbi with the Yowler could go with a little buff of himself with the show off, of course. Grandpa, just a good heavy hitting, doesn't have anything to increase the speed by himself, or does have turbo, but usually relies on his partner Temtem to do it, such as Noxolotl there. And hey, Noxolotl in the semifinals. We saw a lot of Noxolotl previous tournaments, so you know what? I think we might have to increase Noxolotl on our tier list. I think we have him quite low, but you guys are proving it otherwise. He's still here to stay. He's kind of just a fun Temtem to play, but he's still pretty good, pretty impactful.
Yeah, I mean, in Tsubaki's invite tournament, Noxolotl made it all the way to the finals, and if it wasn't for an extra turbo, it's my belief that Noxolotl would have won Tsubaki's tournament. So definitely not, you know, definitely not a D tier or an F tier by any means. Maybe very, very high C, because it has to be in the right situations.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And hey, another little spicy Tem. You either wait, this shouldn't be even a decision of Volren versus a Shween. Alright, Volren, one of the best Temtems in the game, but decides to go with the Shween. I like Gold style. And let's jump into that semifinals matchup. Turbi versus Golld. I think we're gonna have a great set, but this is just game number 1. So let's see what these guys got for us. As we said, potential double buff for Golld. Turbi maybe looking at a buff of his own, and Grandpa, as you said, Rawrzyyy, maybe just a good old Wimbers as we are seeing right here.
Oh yeah, there it is. Valash of the Madness buff. Come on, Seismunch, with its famous Heat Up the double buff on turn 1, and show off it's a triple buff. Everybody wants to be strong, wants to impress their dads next turn.
Yeah.
This is looking scary for Grandpa now.
Yeah, a little Oprah giveaway on buffs. You get a buff, you get a buff, and even Yowler gets one too. But now this is about to really turn up here. Valash with the Crystal Spike, about to go crazy. Seismunch has a Seismunch wreck, about to go crazy, or could even elect to go with a simple uppercut, but a Crystal Spike followed by the Seismunch. I don't think it can kill Yowler, but Grandpa should be going down if it stays in. It does have a hyperkinetic strike, but we saw how much a Wind Burst did. I'm not too sure it could kill. But at the same time, Yowler does have a crazy Oshi Dashi, and Valash has no defensive increases. So I think Valash goes all the way down. The only difference here, if it able to get a Scavenger proc, maybe it lives. But it says Golld doesn't think so right now.
Oh, and it's the Shaween that comes out instead of Cernif, which I expected, but Turbi decides to retreat his Yowler as well for this Noxolotl. Actually a pretty good read there in my opinion. Hypnosis, he knew he outsped from previous turns, so now Hypnosis on bottle swap. That was pretty good tempo from Turbi.
Yeah, not too bad. So both retreating. I thought it was going to be a big Ashi Dashi turn onto that Velashsa. And, you know, it would have caught the Shween on the entry too. But no, Perts saving that Yala for a bit later. I wonder if Turbi thought it was going to be a Crystal Spike, Seisma Rex, something of the like onto Yowler. Maybe that's what Turbi had in mind. Because I guess Yowler is going to be his carry, right? Yowler really good into pretty much the entire team. Visit Colossi certainly maybe not as good, but yeah, Ashi Dashi almost super effective into everything. Savage Suplex is gonna really go crazy. But all right, so hey, Velash making a return. Let's see how much of an impact is gonna have.
Grandpa with the turbo choreography. We're gonna see the same thing from Nox. Yes, +3 speed, +3 speed. Noxolotl Crystal Bite's gonna hit this Grandpa pretty hard, but not gonna be knocking it out just yet, as you know, Shween doesn't have the best physical attack. It's actually kind of depressing how low its physical attack stat is, because its Guardian and Immunity traits are both so good.
Yeah, you hear it here first. Crema, come on, give us a little attack buff on Shween. But no, in all seriousness, it might have been enough. A Crystal Bite bringing it down to 74% about. Is that enough for a single Crystal Spike from a Madness buff Flash to go all the way down? It's gonna be close. I mean, I don't know. A 74 is a lot of HP. But Shween retreating for the time being. Seisma Rex, okay, looks like turn 1 all over again. But let's see. Okay, HKS onto what was the Shween, but Seisma is going to be taking that heavy blow.
Hasn't been a Madness buff or a Trance proc, so it's not going to do too much damage. But it is the ×2 poison ticks on both sides. That is very good damage actually, and Grandpa just barely survives from that Madness buff Crystal Spikes. He does have the speed to go first again. He did Wind Burst first turn. I mean, he might run Tornado. He might have a little bit of special attack investment. HKS is absolutely not available this turn, so he won't be able to confirm a kill like that.
He does have that +3 speed, so even a simple Wind Burst should be enough to outspeed Seisma. However, Seisma goes down by himself. One Toxic Tick, 12.5%. So 12%, it will go down. So maybe redirecting the damage onto that other spot. However, you kind of don't want Seisma to attack, as we're seeing right here. Turbi has to deal with the Seisma, or else you're getting a heavy dose. But man, Turbi with the control. Golld really had some beautiful buffs early on, but these Hypnosis bringing us back to the old Turbo Hypno meta. Turbi finding a lot of success, as we're seeing him in the semifinals, and showing us exactly why.
I was a little concerned when I saw the Wind Burst come from Grandpa, as I was afraid that only Hypnosis, or only Grandpa would have that Hypnosis. We needed to see Velash take a nap. That Noxolotl also running Hypnosis is actually fantastic coverage on Turbi's team that I wasn't really expecting from that turn. That was fantastic. I was afraid that maybe Noxolotl couldn't kill the Seisma in time, but that was fantastic. Now Grumper comes through. He definitely scares away this Grandpa. But there are some answers, as Turbi, he has Yowler with Oshidashi. He's got Grumper of his own.
Yeah, and usually we don't see it because Noxolotl not the speediest 10, but Turbi doing such a great job at, you know, getting that speed up, +3 speed to be exact. So outspeeding the Velash, of course. But hey, you said it, a Hyperkinetic Strike wasn't online last turn, which means Hyperkinetic Strike is online this turn. Maybe wants to save it though down the road. If you're able to, you know, one of your Temtems die, you're able to come in cleanly. Because I don't think at HKS it will be killing anything on the current board. So let's take a look. What does Turbi have in the back? This is kind of rough. It looks like maybe only Yowler, because I don't know if Grumper or Tuvine want to eat a crazy Crystal Spike. It's a tough turn though for Turbi, I want to say.
I'm curious if Noxalotl overexerting for another turbo and giving Grandpa plus 5 HKS on this right spot. Now that he doesn't have to worry about Grumper swapping in and eating it, he is guaranteed anything that could swap in or on Valash itself. The only issue, if Valash stays in and doesn't die, then it will get that scavenger proc from Grandpa.
Yeah, very true. So it's a bit risky as we were thinking about it. What can Turbi do to not give that scavenger proc onto Valash? I mean, Grandpa has to perhaps overexert enough to go down from an HKS, so that's why I was thinking Grandpa retreating as we were saying. So it's the 2-Vine. Okay, so 2-Vine coming in, but hey, that's still a little bit dangerous. A Crystal Spike, Thunder Spike, or Thunder Strike onto that slot might be killing it as it enters. Let's see, Crystal Spike instead onto the Grumper there, huge damage, and then the Thunder Strike splitting both the coverage there, or covering both bases, and huge damage on the entry. That's a big swing for Golld.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, doing almost half to a 2-Vine on entry and over half onto this Grumper, I mean, that means that they're in danger right now. You know, 2-Vine doesn't have effective damage onto either spot, and Grumper, he could just die before he's able to accomplish anything.
Yeah, Valash has the speed, but interesting enough, even with the speed advantage, decides to swap. So just making sure that Valash stays nice and healthy. So CPG intended, oh no, okay, so going into the Grumper, and Mud Showers into the Grumper too. So beautiful read for Turbi, knowing Valash did not want to stay in.
Yeah, but it is the Stonewall onto this Cerny if he wants to start the process of making a tanky deer. And now, I mean, he still has Valash to do damage. He still has Schween to just be a nuisance, because realistically, I don't know how much damage he's expecting. He was more so for a friend of Vola and a friend of Grumper after its chamomile expired. I don't know what else it was really designed to do.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna find out here, because Cerny definitely gets the better of Grumper here. Isn't enough for 42. It is a settling, maybe not all the way attack increase or attack TVs as it's expecting to get some attack bonuses from staying on the board, but maybe it does and is able to clean up this Grumper here. Who does Turbi have? I mean, he does have Noxalotl to potentially swap into. It doesn't seem that bad, but it looks like Golld does retreat his own Grumper. Out comes the Schween. We always love to see it, but how much can it actually do? I mean, yeah, I mean, everything's online, so maybe just a little bit there. Oh, for the water synergy. Nice. Okay, so a little bit more damage on the water cullings. Nice.
We've seen some synergies in the top cut that we don't normally see.
Yeah.
Between that mental Naga's Fury and now water cutting Lily, this has been really cool.
Yeah, and definitely from those Temtems we're not used to seeing too often, like the Schween, so obviously really nice to see. And Cerny, one settling buff, we'll try to keep track of it. So it just got one settling buff. How long is this Cerny going to be on the board? Noxalotl trying to make it a not too long here. I believe we saw it is a Guardian Schween, so toxic immunity, or rather toxic attack, should be effective into Schween. So I think Noxalotl feels very comfortable on this board. Thinking about it though, who is the #1 answer against Turbi's Noxo? Is it this Valash here?
Yeah, it might just have to be Valash. He just has to power through a little bit since he doesn't have any of that wind. Hypnosis onto Cerny is a nice start. I mean, definitely Water Cutting Lily would do so much to 2-Vine, potentially even killing. And the CPG does quite a bit to Valash as well. He says, you know, physical bypasses your madness buff. And he does so much. Now, I mean, the overexertion is rough. I feel like Valash survives this turn. And if Turbi has to find somebody to eat these attacks, or else Valash is just going to heal itself back up.
Yeah, and this is a bit of a checkmate, but not exactly that. I mean, 2-Vine goes down. Grumper goes down, so the only one that can eat it will be the Yowler. Does he want to swap into that? Tuvine, are you staying in or are you going down? And hey, it looks like anything is going down here, so y'all, the Grumper taking in that Scavenger, maybe thinking, okay, no, Tuvine's gonna rest. Okay, so does that mean Yowler comes out here? Dashi is online.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe the hope there was that they would target Tuvine and leave Grumper alone, but then Grumper's too slow to do anything the following turn, and Cernif has woken up, so it really doesn't like it. That might have been a sacrificial swap, but now Tuvine is the sacrificial swap, and Valash is getting another scavenger buff.
Yeah, I guess the only thing Turbi can do, of course, is bring in Noxalato, but Noxalato, you kind of needed it against this Cernif. I mean, a Cernif is at +2 defense, so yeah, this is looking a bit rough for Turbi. I think Golld's taking a bit of the momentum. You know what he's doing really well? He's protecting the Valash the entire game. Knowing Yowler has that Dashi online, he's saying, take my Grumper, take it right here, and let me get back in when you don't have that crazy move online. So let's see if it does. Okay, saving it. Turbi's such a high level player, going with the Savage Suplex instead. So Valash maybe has to eat it one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really solid play. Everybody was weak to the Oshi, but saving it using Savage Suplex means that now he gets to kill Grumper and Shuin, because Valash is not swapping in this turn for the Shuin. That is not happening.
Yeah, and I think Golld's idea here is get Yowler low enough, Water Current Lily Yowler enough to where a Crystal Spike will kill the Yowler before the Valash drops down, because Yowler, of course, is going to be the slowest one, but Shuin doing just that. Can it bring him down to size? Dashi, huge. Yeah, and Shuin does fall down, but hey, good effort out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of damage on the Yowler too, though, as this Madness buff might actually be enough to kill. I mean, it'll be close. It certainly won't, possible to kill this Yowler. And if that's the case, if that happens, I think Valash will have successfully run away with it.
Yeah, if it does kill from that 56% mark, then indeed that is an easy GG, I want to say, because Noxalato can't do too much of Valash, and Valash should be able to clean up the remaining Tems. Maybe Grandpa with a crazy HKS at this percentage, but I don't know, at +2 special defense, it should be able to survive it.
Yeah, Turbi decides to swap in Tuvine, leaving Yowler to its destiny. Crystal Spikes, it hits the Tuvine instead, so he sacrifices. He gives Valash another scavenger buff, and now the Savage Suplex is all that can come through. There's no Oshi yet, but it was still enough. No comebacker needed. Valash falls down, and Cernif is the final Temps. Golld.
Oh, it did kill. So as you said, Dashi going burst. So Cernif versus the entirety of Turbi's team. We thought Golld was running away with it, but Turbi looking a bit too good.
And there it is, concession for game one as Turbi takes it.
That's the perfect answers. It looks like they're already in.
Already done a little bit of the big bands here. Turbi has lost his Kinu and his Noxalotl as Golld loses Valash and Kinu, so still banning Kinus and then banning the strongest Tems of the previous game.
Yeah, exactly right. Noxalato getting some respect out here in the semifinals, and as you said, Valash was pretty much the MVP for Golld, so taking care of that. And man, the pick and ban phase on these guys are so quick. I know exactly what they want to get done. And here's the Temtem we did not see in game number one. It will be the Focus. Can Turbi use it to close the chapter onto Golld? Golld's run here in the semifinals, head itself into the finals, or does Golld want to bring things around? I mean, he has quite the aggressive start here.
Yeah, I mean, now this size munch still doesn't have the perfect turn ones. I mean, typically it is either a heat up or an uppercut. I mean, you could do a perfect jab uppercut. That would be some decent damage, especially if Turbi decides to go for the show off again. You don't risk taking the comebacker damage if you wanted to go that route. That's certainly some free damage on turn one.
Yeah, so it may be a double buff. Size Munch with the heat up, Yowler with the show off, and then maybe a little P-jab, like you said, onto either Tem could be good value. But here it is, the poke is trying to really pressure out both of these Tems, mainly more the Scunch, of course.
Yeah, but the perfect jab is a nice start, and Size Munch goes for the heat up. It means he could wreck the following turn. And I don't know, -1 defense, +2 attack. I think that might be enough for a poor little squishy Prody the Pocus.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, nothing super effective into it. It is at -1 attack though, and yeah, Focus not trying to catch any of this. So out comes the Size Munch. Fairly good. Is going to be half damage from melee, or no, neutral damage from everything here. Size Munch wreck with the melee synergy. Man, a huge damage onto that Size Munch.
Yeah, and getting that plus defense is actually fantastic for Size Munch, as he still has so much HP. He can come back in later, take a hit, and go for another rack and still be okay.
Yeah, nice. So Scunch had some heavy blows to trade. That Savage Suplex, that Ashi Dashi, those two were online, but Grandpa being a bit speedier does put them to sleep for this turn. And hey, is that somewhat of a free opening for a heat up? I want to say it's a bit too risky for Turbi Size Munch. I think you just want to do a little bit of damage, I want to say. You
know, part of me wants Golld to go for heat up again.
You know, he's not pressured. He's not too pressured. I mean, HKS is about the heaviest hit right now, and is neutral speed, so not the heaviest HKS. Wimbers did about that 20% or so there, so should be able to survive. But no, Grandpa's gonna retreat. So you know what, Rawrzyyy, if this is indeed a heat up, it's about to be huge because it's pretty free here.
That would have been so greedy. It would have been an overexert. I just don't see it happening. Yeah, he clicks out instead. He hits the Pocus for quite a bit, determining that it is determining. I'm sorry. Yeah, he hits Pocus for quite a bit, despite it being a mental Tem and taking that half damage, and then a Stonewall onto Size Munch. I mean that. Oh no, I'm sorry. The Stonewall was onto Prody itself. I'm losing it.
Yeah, onto the Pocus, of course. It was at -1 defense from the P-jab, so just going up to +1 defense. So looking like a little Kinu buff right there. But that's what Pocus really wants, right? He wants to stay healthy. He has the Rejuvenate trait. So, you know, with that Rejuvenate, as long as you're nice and thick, as long as you're nice and bulky, you should be able to take things under your control. Golld does not have a Crystal Temtem except the Schween. So Pocus might be an issue. Down the road. I mean, Grumper is effective into Pocus, so maybe not too in the clear. But hey, you don't want Pocus to go too low before you deal with the Scunch, of course.
It was looking a lot better for Golld when Pocus had that -1 defense, as then you know, anything would have done quite a bit. But no, the dim mock onto the Grumper on the swap, and that's not going to accomplish too much. Water Cutting Lily from Cernif is going to do so much more. Size Munch falls to its death without accomplishing as much as it probably should have. Telekinetic Shrapnel onto Grumper is going to do a little bit of damage, but more so it heals this Pocus so much, back up to 84%.
Yeah, not too bad, and it's crazy that it heals more damage than it outputs, right? That's crazy. Or at least it seemed to do that. And Rawrzyyy, I mean, it didn't cut out yet.
Okay, I was just...
Wait, is it? I mean, they're saying no. I'm hearing you good. Unless you're cutting out now and we're not hearing you.
No. I was just making sure. We're all good.
Okay.
So for Turbi, he decides to bring in the Tuvine that was probably the best choice here. It does take some damage from Grumper, but Grandpa takes quite a bit more, and Yowler, you don't necessarily want to just take free damage when it's not going to do too much in response.
Yeah.
So I guess 2 Vines they can probably kill Grumper in 2 turns.
Yeah, or perhaps a double up. Double up, because Grumper is the slowest Temtem, so perhaps a double up onto the Grumper could take care of it, but let's see. So Water currently trying to bring this Pocus down, but as you said, CPG into the Cernive. Okay.
Yeah, and that means the Thunder Strike is free to hit this Pocus. It does so much damage, down to 13%, and Psychosis, the Doombringer. Maybe it was a misclick on Cernive then for the CPG, because you typically don't want to harm and then doom. It's more advantageous to harm Grumper, but either way, the Cernive's days are numbered unless it just gets bush.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. I feel like those attacks meant to go to the opposite Temtems, right? Psychosis on Grumper, CPG on Grumper as well, because as you said, Bush could be online here. And yeah, I think Turbi with a little bit of misclicks, perhaps a little bit.
Yeah, and it looks like they're in, but maybe Turbi's taking a bit of a breather, trying to mentally get past that hurdle as he waited to pick his team. But now here we are, pick bans for game 3. Start off with those key new bans, and then just maybe try to stop Golld's incredible Size Munch Flash lead.
Alright, so same bans from the previous 2 games. It does go the Kinu's way, and Turbi going with the Yowler, and Yowler has been pretty impactful. I don't think he got picked up. Actually, game 2 was so short I can barely remember it, but Yowler does get picked up, and Golld going with the same Temtems as game number 2, the Scunch and the Size Munch opening.
Yeah, I mean, this lead does mean that Valash can get banned for, let's see. Yeah, I mean, second ban for Golld, there's quite a few options. Realistically, the Noxolotl does quite a bit. Pocus with its Doom can also do quite a lot, but now it's been picked. So I guess that's not happening. The mental lead against 2 melees, potentially something Golld booked, or maybe something he's planned for.
Yeah, maybe you just wanted to guarantee those mental or melee Tems on the squad. Could be looking at a swap. I mean, Scunch is in the danger zone. He does not want to be facing off any kind of beta burst Temtem like Pocus. So I wonder if Golld is gonna retreat the Scunch, or sometimes when you play a bit risky, you keep the Scunch in. But in this situation, I mean, even if Pocus beta versus Size Munch, it's still really good value, right? It's just a strong, heavy double damage on either slot. So I guess I think it's still a safe play to swap out this Scunch. Maybe even a double swap, right?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, there are some Tems here that wouldn't mind taking any of this mental, especially, if Shween and Grumper find their way through. Even Volarend isn't necessarily afraid of it, and Yowler won't do too much on turn 1 with just clinch and show off. So there's definitely options for Golld, but most of them do pertain to swapping, which means Turbi gets to have quite a bit of an advantage in tempo in the lead, especially if he reads something, swaps in maybe the 2-Vine as well. There's a lot of potential possibilities here, and most of them I feel favor Turbi on turn 1.
Yeah, it seems like he has a bit more of the momentum. I mean, that's the advantage of having that blue side. Sometimes you get that opening counter pick and tempo. Sometimes the name of the game in Temtem, of course, the early advantage. But hey, Grumper concluding the team for Turbi, such a great Tem. And hey, Golld with the classic pick. Does he pick the Shween? Does he pick the Grumper? I mean, Grumper, we saw how much damage he was doing on the Pocus. Might want to get it. But hey, maybe a Crystal Bite does around the same. But hey, Grumper also pretty good against the likes of the 2-Vine as well. Maybe a bit better. Unless he sees something we don't. The Guardian could save it from... Not too much, I think. Not too much from this board.
I feel like the Guardian was designed for this Volarend though, so he doesn't get the minus special defense as he uses wind techniques. But I still feel like that's not that's not a huge benefit in this scenario. If you look in chat though, Golld does ask, does a beta burst kill Scunch in one shot? So there's a bit of a meme going on. I guess he knows what's going on. He just wants to put it in our heads. Will he stay
put it in maybe
swap?
Turbi's head. A little mind games going on. I mean, that's the name of the game sometimes. And that's the biggest question, right? The biggest question of this opener is Scunch staying in. Is it going to be retreating? Because obviously the super straightforward answer, beta burst Scunch. Well, hey, maybe it swaps into something like Schween to Schween, Volar, and something like that to really eat it. And you don't punish the size munch heat up, right? So maybe a good player would be like, okay, Scunch is retreating. Let's beta burst size munch. But then maybe Scunch stays in and gets a good OP jab on any of these temps to get some good value as well without any sacrifice or consequence, right? So a bit of a mind game here. We've seen in the past go both ways. The Scunch stays in, it dies. The Scunch retreats, or the Scunch stays in and no one attacks it as well. But it's the poke is going to be retreating here. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Size Munch comes into play with its melee friends, and Scunch, the nerve of this man, sticks it out for the P-jab heat up. There won't be any comeuppance as the show off with the synergy. That's kind of nice. He gets vigorized for a few turns, but yeah, this is a really strong lead for Golld, all because Pocus swap or maybe thought the Pocus would attack Size Munch and decided to take the perfect jab on Scunch.
Yeah, I mean that every good player would say, you swap out Scunch, but no, I mean the higher level play sometimes is playing dumb, and I mean that in the best way possible, playing like you don't know the right play. Sometimes it's a huge risk. And in this situation, it does pay off. The Scunch stays in, as you said, get this P-jab. And hey, we know what Golld was up to. A little bit of the mind games in chat, saying it does not one-shot, of course. And yeah, Turbi kicking himself a little bit from that swap, as he had, Pocus super good into the entire board of Golld, or the two Temtem staring him down right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally feel like that was a coin flip necessarily. I feel like Scunch perfect jab would have still been enough value and enough benefit that even if he gave his life in the process, killing this Yowler just a little bit easier would make it all worth it.
Yeah, and you're saying let go of the Scunch? If he did beta burst
I'm saying since Size Munch is here as well, if Turbi decided to target this Scunch, one perfect jab is sometimes enough if you can hit it on the right tem. That sometimes means that Scunch brought enough value, and especially with more uppercuts from Size Munch, that could still have been okay. But now we do see Pocus swapping back in. Everybody sticks it out. Size Munch's wreck with synergy does so much damage to both of these spots. I mean, that was fantastic. And then Savage Suplex onto Pocus. He's down to 15% on the swap.
Yeah, and could have gone into Size Munch, but of course hindsight is 2020. But trying to retaliate the pressure, Size Munch wreck, no melee synergy. And yeah, that is the difference between a heat up and not a heat up. So Golld taking the early couple turns there from that opening. And hey, the mirror, that was kind of freaky. The Size Munch doing the same thing on both boards, that idle animation. But hey, Pocus is here. Is there an attack that is able to outspeed the Pocus? I don't believe Dimmac might have just gone online right now for Size Munch. But Ninja Jutsu, of course, I think Pocus goes down, and yes it does.
Yeah, that ninja was fantastic. It kills the Pocus. That means that Scunch is pretty much free, as Dimmac is not going to do enough. Not even close for this Scunch. He still has 35% left. I mean, he'll go down to a strong attack from anyone, but right now he's looking pretty good. If he's got Oshidashi, he can target this this first spot for Turbi, this left side, and it'll do so much damage.
Yeah. Yeah, and Skunch now for sure could do a lot. I mean, has Ashidashi remaining. I mean, is running out of stamina here, so could retreat it for a bit down the road. But Turbi bringing out the Grumper just to try to do. Oh wait, the Grumper. What was his other options? Okay, the Yowler or the Tuvine. I mean, both of these stems are effective into Grumper, which why I was questioning it.
I feel like potentially just the thought is Grumper can die and won't have as much of an impact as the others.
Okay.
If he's able to get some damage done,
Geez.
but no, Size Munch just just destroys Grumper's Size down to his final 2 Tems, one of which is very weak to a potential Oshidashi. The other is -1 defense.
Yeah, Golld pedal to the metal, unstoppable, relentless pressure from the get-go. That heat up doing so much, and a double Size Munch wreck for the double kill right there in that previous turn 5. And take a look, folks, turn 5 and already Turbi with 3 Temtems down, 2 to his name. Yowler and Tuvine have to do an incredible feat here to take down the remaining Golld's team. I mean, Golld hasn't even utilized Valash, Volerant, and Schween at all this match. Man, what a speedy match in the semifinals here. And I think it all escalated from Skunch not going down and provided that melee synergy for Size Munch to always be going first and just to be hitting that much harder, of course.
Yeah, I mean, this game could have looked different if Pocus had just stayed in and clicked Beta Burst, taken down the Skunch, forced a little bit of anyone else on this side of Golld to play. But no, it's just not meant to be. This time the Savage Suplex almost bringing down the Yowler on its own. Size Munch, he's low on stamina, but he still goes for the uppercut. He's killing Yowler, killing this behemoth before it's able to do anything.
Yeah, and Tuvine versus the world. This will be GG. May be able to get off another kill, but I don't think so. I think 2 crystal spikes, and then once Size Munch is able to come back online after this overexertion, a single uppercut will end it. But Golld looking like he's heading over to the finals.